So hi everybody, I'm Marianna and this is Lynn, and we're here to talk about preventing pandemics with wearable thermometers. All right, so imagine there is an epidemic, a widespread occurrence of an infectious disease. But now it's become a pandemic, a global epidemic, not so hard in today's globalized world. We don't have to state the obvious. Pandemics are very, very scary, very, very big problems. And they cost lives. The Ebola pandemic is still unsolved. In 2009, 400,000 people lost their lives to H1N1. And less than 100 years ago, in 1918, 50 million people died as a result of a pandemic. That's the size of some countries' entire populations. So how do we stop the spread? Well, believe it or not, the solution is actually the same for us today as it was for our grandparents. It's to measure our temperature. And it's not done very well, efficiently, or effectively today. Lynn and I want to reimagine the operations of organizations such as the Red Cross, the World Health Organization, and local governments in detecting and preventing the spread of pandemics, especially in remote areas of the world. So what's done today? Aid workers are sent to remote places and manually have to measure temperature. This is not scalable, as you can imagine. They can simply not cover 100% of the population. And also, we put them at risk. What else is done, as you probably heard a lot about these machines here on the bottom right-hand corner, are now being used in airports to monitor temperature. Again, not scalable, especially for remote areas, very expensive, around $13,000 per machine, and moreover and more importantly, actually ineffective. A lot of false positives with these machines. When the machine reads a temperature that someone has a fever, only 10 to 16% of the time do they actually have a fever. So, what's our moonshot? What are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk about these. We want to send a box of these guys to remote areas in the world. Good. What is it? It's a bandaid-like device. It's small, it's wearable, it's flexible, it's disposable. It consists of a graphene-based sensor, a battery, and a wireless module. When worn, it measures your temperature constantly. It sends that data, those patterns, to your phone and or via the cloud to centralized monitoring stations administered by the Red Cross, the World Health Organization, and local governments. So we'll peel back the onion on the actual technology in just a bit, but I want to leave you with this thought while we talk about this. Imagine you are a remote villager. You are now wearing one of these. You are now an active participant in preventing the spread of a pandemic. You are partnered with the Red Cross, the World Health Organization. Your baby, your disabled grandmother, who cannot get up and go to the hospital to get their temperature measured, are partnered. So before it's too late, before you are in contact with someone, before you're in contact with an aid worker, your data, the patterns are being recorded. The World Health Organization is struggling to anticipate outbreaks. It absolutely needs to shift its approach from being reactionary to anticipatory, and we want to help with that. Anticipation is key. If you look at 2003, the way the Singapore SARS virus was ended, twice daily temperature screenings of subacute non-patients. Those are patients for whom it is not too late. They haven't even walked in and said, I am deathly ill. It's preventative, it's anticipatory. Data and patterns, I've mentioned why this is so important. This is a chart by day of the relationship of contagion to fever. Looking at these two yellow areas, these are subacute non-patients. Nobody has this data today. Imagine having this as the Red Cross or the World Health Organization. So what's important? Temperature is the #1 way to identify infection. Temperature measurement is the #1 way to stop the spread. Non-patients play a huge role in the prevention of pandemics and the spread of pandemics. Remote area surveillance is simply not done today at scale. Organizations need to be anticipatory, not reactionary. Data, patterns, real-time and historical, nobody has those. And of course, we need solutions that don't require aid workers, that are contactless, and that are low cost. Quickly talking about existing devices, none of these things are a silver bullet. They are all either bulky, not flexible, not wearable, not connected, or require the use of an aid worker to measure temperature. The biggest innovation that's happened in temperature measurement in the context of pandemics has been at the border. Those machines that I mentioned that are $13,000, that is not the place where the World Health Organization and the Red Cross needs to innovate. It needs to be where pandemics might occur. So I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to talk about a little bit more about the technology itself.
Sure. So again, here's our Moonshot. In the smart bandaid like this, we were able to provide you with the body temperature, 37 degrees C. And of course, it's connected wirelessly with your phone or basically the centralized location. And also, it has a battery. It's similar to this. It's very flexible. So the battery right now is good for a few days. Actually, we offer many advantages. Here are some value proposition. You can see a lot here, but I want you to remember the four things. The flexible, thin, one of the most precise, up to 0.01 degrees C, and of course it's disposable. So you have been hearing about graphene, right? So what is graphene, by the way? Graphene is actually a nano material, is a core enabler for the technology. It's the newest class of material, and they have great novel property. It's molecularly thin, one layer, and one of the strongest material on Earth. And also it has a high surface area, so you can actually pack a lot of sensing per unit area onto the graphene. And secondly, graphene cost of production has been dramatically going down in the last few years. And currently, they are comparable price with the material for the competing technology. So thirdly, as you can see here, we invented the new way, the novel way to fabricate the graphene sensor. And as you can see here in the last one, we have the sensing prototype using a easy, scalable printing technology. So with the demo here, I just want to show that as a sensing element at the heart of the invention, we have the working prototype with or without the integrated display. And as you can see in the video here, we were collecting the data wirelessly. And then when it touched the glass of hot water, it's responding in less than 1 or 2 seconds. And then it takes another like 10 seconds for recover to the room temperature by dissipating the exceeded heat. So a quick glance into our team. I believe that we have the right team with a strong and proven track record on both technical side and business side. And also we have a great advisory board in our early stage team. So in summary,
thank you so much, Lynn.
Okay.
I think it's great. I mean, we've even during the recent Ebola, pandemic preparedness efforts. I think this was one of the things that we had talked about is being able to have a device that you could just put and whether it was a Band-Aid or a wristband, whatever, and remotely monitor temperature. So I think that's great. The question I have is, are there any false positives? How often are you anticipating changing that Band-Aid or wristband? And are there any efforts in terms of monitoring heart rate with this? Because you can have false positives, but if you have a rapid heart rate with the fever, then it becomes more reliable. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, so I think that I can answer the second part of the question on the heart rate. So actually, we just have another provisionally, hopefully, invention disclosure on the heart rate kind of monitoring, because actually our sensor is really fast and it's accurate. So we are seeing that we are actually picking up the temperature change when we use the sensor to detect actually the blood flow. So that's actually another one of the research area we're going into. And actually for the first one, for the false positive, I don't think that we have an answer for that until we roll out and until we have a pilot study or clinical study on that one. Right now we're having a prototype in the lab, but we have not have any partner really to test, and basically that's why we're here in order to get a lot of partnership. Thank you.
And how do you anticipate applying this in a Band-Aid, you said, or?
Yeah.
So you have to change it every day, or?
It's actually is going to be it's actually similar to the Band-Aid. So so it's similar to the typical Band-Aid. Actually, all of the components, the three components, the sensor, the wireless, and then the battery, is applied on top of the Band-Aid, and then basically you have you just peel off the cover and then you stick it to the body. So that's how you basically record your temperature.
Sorry, go ahead. Is the idea then I guess I'll follow up on that question, is the idea to wear the same sensor for a long period of time, or do you change it daily, or, so that'll impact the cost requirements?
Yeah, I think that that's something we also need to test. We haven't printed on a sticky surface yet that can sense temperature so we've shown you what we actually have the sensor printed on. We haven't printed it on a sticky substrate and tested it on human skin. However, that being said, the printing technology that we have can do that. So I think, again, we just need to understand what actually a live field study would yield in terms of, if I wear something, it might be different than when you wear something, and how long, if it showers, So we can make it waterproof. There are ways that we can protect the actual, think of it like a nicotine patch that can last for longer than a day, right? So we can certainly use existing substrates, and those can be either disposable by day or disposable in a week. It just depends what we actually use.
It seems very cool. I'm wondering, I don't know that you got to, I guess you don't know the lifespan of the device yet, but have you thought of other industries? It seems like, you talk about, I think it's a thermal imaging sensing device at the airports that is, I think you said $13,000. This seems like in bulk, and that they're disposable would be more expensive. Do you have any sense of cost? And have you thought of, it seems like also in the agriculture industry, in the shipping industry, this could be interesting. Have you thought about other applications?
There are so many applications, and that is actually what we're currently really working on, is figuring out among this one, what other applications would let us get massive scale and solve a very, very big problem. The food shipping industry. Imagine shipping vaccines, blood, organs. I mean, there's, a pregnant woman on the Upper West Side who just wants to understand her temperature and when it's the best time, or someone trying to get pregnant. Hospitals, NFL players, are they overheating? I mean, there are so many applications. From a cost perspective, to answer that quickly, we believe that the sensor itself, 40 cents at scale, based on our calculations. The other materials, we can't imagine that they would be more than, in total, about $1 or $2 per Band-Aid. At scale, that could be less.
Any other questions? We have time for one more question. Okay, thank you so much.